that hustle and grind, yeah. Big business all in my mind. We got what you need and what you wanna hear right here. Oh, late nights, cleaning supplies, yeah. Tough calls all of the time. It's the Built After Hours podcast. Yeah, we here. Let's go. Oh.
Welcome to the Built After Hours podcast.
Going on, everybody? It's Edwin, the host of the Built After Hours podcast. I'm also, if you didn't know, I'm the founder of iPro Building Services, also the founder of Cinch Janitorial Software to help you grow, scale, and really become a profitable janitorial business. But today, you guys have been asking, I want to do a video on something I think that gets kind of overlooked. We're all looking to find our first customers. We're all looking to figure out how to find our niche, how to get leads. But once you get them, once you hire your employees and you're doing the day-to-day operations, you're not so much working in your business, you're working on it. You have to become a leader. And one thing that gets overlooked and one thing that I like to really talk about is company culture. And so what is company culture? Well, company culture, it was something that I didn't even know. 5 years ago, I didn't even really fully grasp and understand what company culture was. I've worked with other companies and, company culture to those companies were to hand out an Employee of the Month award. And so one employee got this award and they were the rock star. They were the superstar of the company or that particular location. It was a feel good. I remember when I was working in the hospitality industry back in the day, I think I was 21 years old at the time, still in college, getting ready to finish college. And I was one of the youngest managers on the executive team for a hotel, a Hilton hotel, and got called into an executive meeting. And I was awarded the manager of the quarter. Awesome. It was a feel good. I got recognized in front of all the other executive leaders there. I was given an award. I was given a bonus on my paycheck. I felt good. And I still remember to this day the way that I felt about that. Now, I did look around the room and there were other managers in that room that probably felt like they should have received that award. I think when we're sitting in a room of people and we've all busted our butts and we're great workers, but when somebody gets that award and we don't, I think we kind of feel a little left out in a sense, maybe not as much appreciated as we should be, but we still want to be supportive of the person that won the award. I remember that feeling when I received that award. And fast forward to where I'm at now, I was doing Employee of the Month awards and it was going good. We were recognizing rock stars for doing a great job out there cleaning, doing the jobs that other people don't want to do, cleaning toilets, taking out trash, just cleaning up the messes. I wanted to make sure that somebody got recognized for doing a great job. So we did that, spiraled off for the first 5 or 6 months. Everything was going great. We gave an award to them. We surprised them. They got a plaque, they got a gift card, and we posted them all over social media. Awesome. It's a feel good. The problem was those Employee of the Month recipients started to quit. What's going on? They're just quitting. They're not even telling me. They're not telling their managers. They're just leaving. And all of a sudden they're not there. They're ghosting us. They're not showing up for work. And I'm sure that we've all dealt with that. Maybe not Employee of the Month, but probably just employees itself, given the job market. But I was perplexed. I didn't understand it. And so I think it was on the 7th or 8th time that I was giving out a Manager of the Month award. The manager, a couple days later, came in and handed me a paper and it was her 2-week notice. I said, whoa, what's going on? Why are you leaving? It seems like everybody that gets the Employee of the Month is leaving. And so I said, let me pick your brain. I want you to stay on board. What do we need to do? What's going on? So she was at least open enough to sit down and really have that conversation with me. And this is the very first time that company culture really clicked with me, is having this conversation with this employee. Granted, the Employee of the Month, right? So what's going on? Why are you leaving? And so her response, and it still sticks out to me this day, was, "It's an awesome award. I appreciate you recognizing me for doing a good job. The problem is you put me on this pedestal." Okay, well, you're doing an awesome job. You were the one that stood out, so you should be on that pedestal. But no, I like that in a sense, but the problem is I'm on this pedestal, but now I have a target on my back. So what do you mean you have a target on your back? And she said, well, there were other employees that are working just as hard as I am that felt that they should have received that award. Okay. So I'm soaking this in and I'm listening. And I said, Okay, I can see that, but you did an exceptional job. Okay, but basically what has happened now is you've put me on this pedestal, but the other employees resent me now because you've put me on this pedestal. You're basically saying that I'm doing a way better job than they are. And I said, but that's not the case. She said, I get it, but that's not the way that we all think. We're thinking that there's only one person when this is a team. This is a team that does this. And that clicked. And I said, all right, we're scrapping this Employee of the Month award. You need to stay on board. I'm changing things up. It's going to be completely different. I'm going in the lab. We're going to change this up. So I went back to the lab. We scrapped the Employee of the Month for a couple months so I could think this through. What would work? And I thought, well, we could celebrate birthdays. Nobody can resent somebody for having a birthday. But then I thought, you know what? I have some workers that their religions don't celebrate birthdays. So I thought, okay, I don't want them to be resentful if other people get it and then we don't recognize them for something. So what can we do? And then a light switch went off and it was anniversaries, work anniversaries. Nobody can resent somebody for putting in the work. And again, that conversation with that employee, the light switch went off and it was like, okay, we need to scrap this. How can we recognize the team? And I didn't even know what was going to happen when we created this employee anniversary. And what happened was slowly we started doing this 1-year anniversaries, 2-year anniversaries. And what we would do is we would surprise them. We would bring them in the office. They wouldn't know what's going on. And then, hey, surprise, we would clap for them and then congratulate them on their work anniversary. And then it just started to implode even more. We started inviting employees in to hide with us and be part of this celebration so that we were all hiding in a room. And then when the work anniversary recipient would come in, we would all yell surprise. We'd have balloons and it just started to spiral off. And people started, as they had their following year anniversary, some people would catch on to what was going on. So we don't hide it anymore. But what happens is we still invite the employees into our office. And they usually come in 30 minutes before whoever's receiving the work anniversary award. And now we could have upwards of 10, 15 people that are getting their work anniversaries at one time. But what's happened now is with the employees in the office, some speak Spanish only, some English only, where they would never see each other on a daily basis, where they would never have a conversation with each other. They're in this room and they're interacting with each other. They're asking each other how their day is going. They're saying, hey, I had this problem with this. Maybe it was ice melt during the winter season. What do you do in your facilities that you clean to take care of this? And then they're sharing all their secrets. And next thing you know, we're becoming a team. We're building a culture. And I didn't even know this. And it's a very powerful thing because now you become a company that people want to work for. People are being recognized and they know that when their 1 year comes up, they're going to be recognized for that. And they're not just going to be recognized by you, the owner or the managers. They're going to be recognized by your entire team. And the power of that is huge. They end up telling their friends, their families. And we have multiple locations where, and cleaners who just bring their families in. And they're working for us because they told them about this. And they said, well, at our other job, they didn't celebrate us. They didn't care. And think about that, care. That's huge. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be celebrated for what they're doing. A handshake goes a long way. Just you walking up and saying, thank you for doing a great job. That goes a long way. But company culture is huge and you have to have it. I deal with a lot of data centers. We clean a ton of data centers and their facilities are just awesome. They're huge and they're awesome. They have video games. They have electric scooters. They have basketball hoops. They have drink fridges. They have snack bars, everything. So I've slowly implemented that into my facility. So we have all that kind of stuff too. The problem is that doesn't build company culture. That gives you a cool office effect when people walk in, but it's not company culture. People will still leave. Those are just tools. The Pac-Man arcade game is a tool. And here's why. I would go and play that Pac-Man arcade game when we first got it. And I set the first 5 high scores. They weren't the highest scores where I was just playing to get the high scores on there. And we were having a staff meeting. One of my floor care specialists, she came in and she saw it and I said, you can play it. So she started playing the game. And all of a sudden she started yelling and screaming. Excitement. She was excited. Why? She beat my high score. and she wanted everybody in there to know about it. So then they all came over and they saw it. And then they all looked at me, and then I tried to play the game to beat that high score. Again, what I didn't recognize is that Pac-Man machine was just a tool. It brought the people in, and now they're talking amongst each other. Now they're high-fiving each other where they wouldn't talk before. They're doing it now. And having these objects, these tools, you have to know how to use them. We have a drink fridge. When the employees come in, they can get a drink and they can get a snack from the snack bar. That's great, but it's also a tool. So I know that Jose gets a Gatorade or a Monster drink and a bag of chips. So I'll make sure I know he comes in at 4:00. I'm going to go grab his Monster and a bag of chips. And when he comes in, I'm going to hand it to him. And I'm going to ask him how he's doing. And he's going to feel good because he sees that I recognize that that's what he picks up every day. And then I'm having a conversation with them so that they feel like they're part of the team. But really, today's message is just understanding that as you start to grow your company, as you start to bring employees on board, as you start to build a team, just know that the little things you're doing is building a culture. And the difference between the companies that are just, they're even keel, and then the companies that continue to grow, the difference is company culture. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner that these arcade games or this basketball hoop or this drink fridge or snack bar, those are just tools. Those are tools to help you build that culture. The sooner you figure this out, the better it is. The better it is for your company. It's going to become more profitable. People are going to want to work. People are going to be willing to go above and beyond because they know that they're going to be appreciated. But that's the bottom line. Appreciate the employees. Show them that you really care. Think outside the box and just do things differently. But appreciation goes a long way. And without even knowing it, this whole getting away from the employee of the month and just moving it into anniversaries and celebrating that has taken on a life of its own. The commercial cleaning industry, the turnover rate is over 200%. It's atrocious. My cleaning company, it's 5% or less. And I attribute that to the anniversaries and to the culture that we built. So if you really want to build and scale, it is about sales because you have to have those clients and you have to have that money coming in, but you got to protect that money. And that's with your employees and building that culture. So I hope that helps you with a little tip for the day. Any questions, feel free to send me an email. You can go to bahpodcast.com. There's a contact us there. You can put in any questions you have. Would like to do some follow-up videos with other questions that you guys have. Anything I can do to help out. So hopefully we catch you on the next one, and stay tuned for the next Built After Hours podcast.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Built After Hours podcast. Please be sure to like and subscribe and share with someone you know who is building after hours. Remember, be bold, take risks, and get results. See you next time.